Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. A real pleasure to have you here with us in London for the film festival. If you could just kick off with a brief introduction to your film and tell us a bit about what audiences can expect.
So I'm James Morosini, the writer, director, and co-lead of I Love My Dad. I Love My Dad is a comedy about a father who gets blocked by his son online. He's very worried about his son because his son's very depressed, but his son won't talk to him. So the father creates a fake profile uh, in the hopes that the son will just accept the profile and forget about it. But the son then falls in love with the girl that with the profile that the dad has created. So the movie's about an estranged father who catfishes his son in an attempt to reconnect.
Very original, funny premise. Where did you get the initial idea for it?
So the movie is actually based on something that happened to me a long time ago. My dad and I had a big fight. I blocked him online. I was going through a tough time. He was really worried about me. I wouldn't talk with him. I got home one day. This really pretty girl had sent me a friend request online. I was very excited. She had all these amazing pictures. And then I found out it was my dad. And the story was born.
Obviously, even though it's a comedy, it does circle around a lot of issues that are incredibly relevant and pertinent now. The idea of, social media being kind of the medium through which a lot of young people in particular kind of living their lives, but then also that can be a very lonely place depending on how your mental health is. And this idea that, who you speak to online could actually be anyone. So, what do you think some of the themes are that come out of the film?
I think I was interested in exploring identity, the idea of wanting so badly to connect with someone when you don't have the tools to. I wrote the movie kind of from my dad's perspective so I could kind of understand how he sees our relationship and try to justify his behavior over some of the years. The movie's also exploring what it means to fall in love and how much of that is the person that you're falling in love with and how much of it is just the part of yourself that you're coming into contact with in that process and how much of it is just kind of a mirror really that this part of yourself you're falling in love with.
Tell us about how you casted your film and how did you work with them to achieve your vision?
So the movie stars Patton Oswalt. I cast Patton because he's incredibly funny. He has tremendous heart, and those qualities were both very important to the film. I play his son in the film. I cast myself because I'm the best actor in the world. No, I cast myself because I just thought it was fun to watch the person that had a version of the experience go through it again. I'd never seen that before, and it was kind of it gave me this kind of mischievous excitement to do that. And then I cast Claudia Sulewski to play the part of Becca, who's the imaginary girl that Franklin, my character, is interacting with. Claudia's just very funny. She's a very generous performer and very collaborative. And then the movie also has Lil Rel Howery, Rachel Dratch, Amy Landecker, and Ricky Velez in the cast. Um, I wanted to fill the cast out with a lot of very funny people so that they could kind of call the father character out on his behavior throughout the movie and kind of give the audience a voice throughout the story. And the way we all worked together is we rehearsed a lot. We had a lot of long dinners and conversations about what this story means. And then we all just, I think, gave it everything we had in the making of it.
In terms of the look and feel and the tone of the film, let's say, in being kind of quite a dark comedy, where do you perhaps take your, influences from? What were some of the comedies maybe you grew up watching or other filmmakers? And how did that feed into the film you made?
Yeah, I really like discomfort comedies, movies where you're like it's not the comedy isn't coming from jokes, it's coming from impossible situations. I think a filmmaker that does that exceptionally well is Ruben Ostlund. I mean, I recently saw his movie Triangle of Sadness, and that blew me away. But I've watched all of his films since he started making them, um, and many others that are in that realm. I mean, also people like Spike Jonze or Charlie Kaufman that play with this kind of grounded surrealism where they're telling the story from a place of what it feels like as opposed to what's literally true. And they're impressionistic in a way. You know, this movie, I didn't want it to feel like a studio comedy. I wanted it to feel very lived in and real. And I didn't want to tip my hand too much to an audience. I wanted it to feel emotionally grounded throughout so that the stakes felt that much higher.
In terms of going on the journey with the film, what were maybe some of the challenges you faced along the way, but what were some of your personal highlights as far as?
I mean, this was a tough film to get made. Making a movie where it's about a father catfishing his son. There's a lot of people that didn't want to go on that journey. But then I found a group of people that really did and were willing to, that saw what was underneath that concept, that it's really a movie about family and the difficulties of family and stumbling in relationships and trying to find yourself and whatnot. Some of the biggest highlights for me were, I mean, the film won the grand jury and audience award at South by Southwest. I got to see the movie with my dad in front of with a 600 person audience. That was incredible. Having the movie in theaters throughout the United States was a childhood dream of mine. And then just interacting with audiences and having people come up to me and share. Um, you know, I had a guy come up to me and say, I haven't talked to my dad in 5 years. I think I'm going to call him later today. Things like that just kind of break your heart and remind you what it means to really be making films and telling stories.
And how did your dad react?
My dad had a complicated experience with the movie. I mean, I think he was very nervous at first, and the first time he saw the movie was at South by. He ended up loving it. I think he has a good sense of humor about it. The movie it kind of explores what how much further things could have gone. So it's more emotionally true than it is literally exact. And so I had to make it really clear, like, hey, this isn't exactly you. This is an impression. This isn't you. And I had to keep saying that over and over, and I still have to say it sometimes. But I think he likes the film.
And you've obviously already hit quite a few points there, but ultimately, what do you hope people will take away, and how do you think comedy can be a way into kind of understanding different emotions, how families interact, maybe laughter can help us deal with things in ways that straight up drama sometimes isn't the most useful.
Yeah, I mean, I think in every situation, there's an opportunity to see humor in it. And when we do, it kind of relaxes our grip a little bit. And I think that can be applied to anything. And so when you bring it to darker subjects, it allows you to kind of experience those themes or those moments in life a little bit more loosely and with more perspective. And I wanted that to be a feeling throughout the film where it goes, I wanted it to go deep, but I wanted it to have kind of a smile throughout. And I mean, I think, being able to watch comedies together and laugh at tough things together is, it's one of my favorite parts of going to the movies. And I hope audiences just have a great time watching this movie. I mean, I think, I tried to make almost like a comedic, it's like a horror comedy, comedic horror. Like, it gets so intense and uncomfortable, and so I hope audiences are able to like revel in that together, and kind of make a lot of noise as they're watching it. It's been really fun to see it in big theaters with a lot of folks.
In what sense do you perhaps also think that, so when some people first heard of the concept and kind of, pull away from it, but with cinema, with film, we should be trying to tackle these darker recesses of different, topics, taboo topics. Otherwise, we're not creating something new.
I mean, part of the fun of making movies to me is this kind of mischievous delight. But I think as long as the characters are coming from places that we can understand, we'll kind of go with them anywhere. The key to this movie is that this dad really cares about his son. He's worried about his son. He's tried everything to make sure his son is okay. This is his last resort. And he doesn't mean for it to go anywhere, but then his son falls in love with this girl, and so he has to keep it going because he's worried that if he doesn't, his son might hurt himself. And so I think it's so fun to put audiences in these difficult moral positions where we really have to ask ourselves, what would we do if we were in that situation? How would we navigate it? To me, those are my favorite kind of films, are the ones that ask those tricky and kind of uncomfortable questions.
And just very quickly, how does it feel to have a film here at London Film Festival? And what are you going to work on next?
Oh man, I mean, being here has been so fun. Audiences here audiences here at the London Film Festival are just they're so smart, and it's just been the best. It's my second time in London. I'm having a great time. We had completely sold out screenings here. Amazing Q&As after. It's been a great time. Next, I'm making another movie that I can't really say too much about at the moment, but I'm very excited to bring it to audiences and to share it.
Amazing. Thanks so
Yeah.
much for sharing all that
Yeah.
with us. I really enjoy presenting your film here in London. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much.